Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hut lineup decisions. Now, yesterday we got the new Titan card, Henrik Zetterberg. For anyone having trouble with any of the moments, I know they are much easier than the Panarin moments, at least it seems from the general consensus of the community. But I'll have a video that will go over that. I'm going to do it on stream actually today, so be sure to look at that probably for tomorrow, and I'll just have any tips for any of the few moments that people are struggling with. So I hope I can help out with that. Looks like a great card. I love the Titan cards. Of all the content pieces that the NHL has put together, I think having a card that's very difficult to earn, I just don't understand the timing. And what I mean by that is, why is there a 7-day timer? These should be able to be made forever. Like, a new player comes in, hey, I'm going to try and do these moments to get this really fun card. What if you're a Panarin fan or Zetterberg or Thornton? You just kind of miss out if you can't play this specific week. It's just more FOMO stuff, and I really wish those tactics were just kind of removed, but it is what it is. Let's get into today's questions and comments. We're going to start with, we'll go up here. Sorry, I had them all selected. I knew this was going to be a hot button topic, so I wanted to address it. The jersey thing yesterday, I mentioned that I'm not a big jersey guy anymore wearing them or getting jerseys of players unless it is meant to be displayed. More of like when I wear jerseys now. I think that hockey is like the one sport where like the jersey is a sweater and it has a nice look to it. And I actually think the blank is kind of better in some cases. I don't, and then I mentioned that I agree with the thought process of I won't get a jersey of someone younger than me. And I think a lot of that feeling by me is because I'm a gigantic Ice Dog fan. I got a Kevin He jersey in the background. You know, he's, I think, 18 years old. I wouldn't rock his jersey to a junior game, but I wouldn't blame anyone that did. But I will support him, and I'll show him off in the background, things like that. I don't judge anyone for wearing jerseys of players. It's just my own personal thing. Like, I just, I'm not big on wearing custom jerseys anymore unless they're older than me. You know, I don't know. That's just a weird take. But let me, Trobot had a good one. Not wearing a jersey younger than you. I liked this idea when I first heard it. Then thought, do I wear the jersey because I idolize and want to be him? As a kid, the answer is yes. If you answer yes now, I think this concept holds up. Fair enough. You know, if you idolize a player, I'll be honest with you. As someone who like plays baseball, again, I'm not like a pro baseball player or anything, but my favorite baseball player to watch is Jarren Duran. I went and bought Nike Air Force One high tops because I've watched Jarren Duran. He's absolutely electric, and I like being fast. So I went and bought Air Force Ones, and I wear Bruce Bolts. So in a certain way, I guess that might be actually weirder. I don't know. But I can understand if you idolize the player. If the answer is no, then I see no reason to make your birth year relevant. Again, I think that this is this might be a correct take. Because again, it was just something that was like a blanket statement I heard. Like Sam McKee from Kipper and Bourne, he said that he doesn't buy jerseys for anyone younger than him. And I kind of was like, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, sure. But for anyone that does, by the way, guys, I'm not like, yo, what a loser. No, I'm just do what you want to do. I'm just saying for me personally, right? Fantasy cards make you more excited when that player scores. A personalized jersey is a fantasy card you wear. You get that thrill not only from goals, but assists, hits, saves, and big plays. The Canucks have a ring of honor of important players of their franchise. Getting a personalized jersey to me is representing that team in a ring of honor of players. Don't hate that, man. I don't hate that. I'm in complete agreement there. It's just, again, my own personal preference. I don't wear jerseys a lot, to be honest with you. Like I said, I think that they actually are a pretty good look. I mentioned that you go out for a night and like with your boys, not to a fancy dinner. I'm looking at my Buffalo Sabres goat head jersey, and you wear that with a nice pair of jeans. That's an electric look. Like that's a nice look, right? So, anyways, I really appreciate that as a casual, no money spent player that I've been able to get the big card at the end of each season. Hedman and Larkin, but it's crazy that I've been able to max out the bonus tiers. They definitely need more people. Better. They definitely need more for people better than me. Oh, what I'm saying, yeah. If you play regularly, the XP path was pretty easy. This one specifically was very easy in comparison. I know there's a lot of people that can't do it. If you play regularly, I meant compared to the first one was brutal and the rewards were god awful. I think that this whole year, like I mentioned, NHL 23 was a beta test for 24. And I know everyone's like, every year is a beta test thing. What I mean by that is they didn't do any game on purpose, didn't do any live updates to the game because the new development team was like, we're going to focus all on 24 to put as much into 24 as possible. And when you look at year over year changes, NHL 24 featured the most change that we've seen in an NHL game from a gameplay standpoint year over year. And I know that that isn't well received, and the full pressure system and the goalies and all that was dumb, and not a lot of people like it. But still, you can't argue that when you look at like the differences every year, 23 and 24 was a drastic change. And I think the problem was, and something that I hate, is that we just had to eat it. 23, we just had to eat it. And I could tell very early on that that was how it was going to go. The content team this year decided, what I could only assume very late, to be like, let's just try all this stuff. And 24 or 25 is just testing content structures because they changed everything. And it kind of sucks for the year-long player because there's a lot of ideas they don't have fleshed out. We see it all the time. The sets, remember the sets objective path, for example, because they didn't realize that we had to do 70,000 sets for team of the year. The team of the week changing from collectibles to players halfway through, it's just like there's a lot of evidence of them being like, oh, here's an idea that we came up really quick, didn't do a full like process breakdown of what it's going to do or any like QA testing. And it's like, we'll figure it out as we go. And the good thing is with content, you can figure it out as you go, but that's what's led to a lot of frustration, and that we can all agree this year's content was the worst, and it has a lot of good pieces. It does. And I'm not like, I'm not a shill because I'm very critical, and I really feel like the content team hates me. In fact, I know that they aren't huge fans of me. That being said, like there are some good things. And, but when it comes to the XP path, they definitely need to iron it out more. That was a long rant that just started from nowhere. Thanks for the feedback, Sleeves. I was a first time, long time, and I was a first time, long time, and appeared on the episode. I actually think this 92 Titan Zetterberg might have saved me from the team builder cards. Gonna stick to your idea of MSP, save up the sharpshooting event, and use your suggestion on power up icons. Love that the Fox X Factor being a Rangers fan, so might actually be my guilty pleasure later on. Yeah, the Zetterberg card is a great replacement if you don't want to go get Linden, right? Like, those Titan cards, every time they've come out, have been fantastic. And I loved how hard it was to get Panarin. I didn't love how the reason it was hard was because the game was broken, right? Like, the reason why the Panarin stuff was so annoying was because the objectives didn't track. You scored a top right goal, didn't count, right? I loved that it was so hard. I loved watching people in the community spend 5 hours to try and get this card for free because it was a flex, right? Do I think that that's good for the entire player base? No, but I do love these really hard challenges. MLB has something, the extreme moments, and it's like they are not meant for the faint of heart. And if you're not great at the game, you're probably not getting them. But there is a lack of reward in this game from doing challenging things. The reward in NHL comes from how many games can you play, right? Like, that's really it. When you boil it down, it's like, can you win 30 games in a week? That isn't just based on skill. That is based on, do you have 30 hours available to you to complete this task, right? Like, that's where the flex is. It's not a reflection of skill. And technically, Hut Champs would be that, right? But the rewards are so messed up that, like, you just stop at 10 wins or 9 wins, or you groove your win rewards, right? Like, I really hope they go back to the collectible system for Hut Champs. It was just such a perfect way to do it, and it made every game just frustrating. But I love to hear about the Linden thing. I think I completely agree. Good players don't notice ice tilt. We talked about ice tilt yesterday because they understand they were outplayed when they lose and don't use an imaginary excuse blaming EA for a skill issue. I am in the middle of these arguments because not every game do you get a save that you would expect 99 out of 100 times. Why? Because I think that they somehow code hockey, which is a completely random sport, and I don't know what the code is to make it more random, right? Like, that's always been the argument. Do you want sim-based hockey game from a video game standpoint? A lot of people would say, yeah, I want it to play exactly like real life. Well, that means that stuff's going to go in that you don't really expect it to and shouldn't go in from a video game standpoint, right? As someone who has followed this game at the highest level, I have covered and I have handed out the trophy for the world championship 4 different times. 4 different times. I understand when I play, when I can immediately tell you in the first rush if this person is better than me. Like, it's just something that I've played the game a lot. I've seen players far better than me. I have played against some of my closest friends that I have in the community that are among the best players in the world, right? I can tell very quickly if this player is exceptionally better than me. And then when I lose because of it, I think if you watch my streams, you won't see the random freakouts or the bitching or the blaming everything. Every once in a while, I'm human, but for the most part, you'll hear me say, "Dude, this guy's nuts," or I wish I could play as much as him. Like there's just no, there is definitely something to that. I think a lot of the player base blames. No one wants to go to work, come home. You're in Division 4. You're not someone who grinds the game a ton. You're in Division 4 or below. You sit down, you play a game. The first thing that you want, and you lose, the first thing you want to do is not be like, that was on me. You want to blame everyone else. And I understand that. You just had a long day at work. You want to sit down and be like, you know what? I suck at this game, or I played poorly. You want to be like, yo, my opponent's cheating. My controller's busted. He's got hacks. EA's EA. Like, you know what I mean? And that's a perfectly fine human response. There is something, though, because there's no way to quantify it. There are times where worse players win. I have beaten Geimer and Polgs and many other players over the last 7 years where I should, if we were to play 10 times, lose all 10 times. But I have won every once in a while, right? And I think, like, I don't... Ice Tilt is always going to be such a tinfoil hat thing because there's simply no way to prove it. Until an ex-EA dev comes out and says, you know what? We did put something in there. There's no point in worrying about it. If you watch me stream, there'll be times where I'll just be like, the game is fighting me. It is what it is, and I'll hopefully get it next time because the game is meant for you, make you go 500. Rivals is designed to make you go 500. It's skill-based matchmaking, so eventually you'll get the tilt, right? As someone who plays online casually Div 4, I'm astronomically frustrated by the way online NHL is played. I played real-life hockey at a high level and for a long time, and I find it amazing how broken the mechanics of this game is. I generally can't catch on. I feel like every other sequence is just so unrealistic and would never happen, and I just can't understand how to get better at the games. It's just a loss after loss where I feel like I cannot connect a single pass, defend the zone, or bury a goal where my opponent score the same 2 ways over and over again, no matter what I do. Man, this is online gaming in 2025. I've talked about this a lot. I have a saying that when you get to Division 2, you are playing a different game. You are no longer playing the sport, you are playing the video game. And this happens in every single sports game. I talk a lot about MLB. You'll see a lot of MLB content on my channel. And when MLB launches, you can come watch me play it halfway through the week, right? There are times where you will see entire lineups of switch hitters. You will see the same pitchers on the mound when you get into Hall of Fame and Legend, right? Like, that's how sports fake. You go to Madden. Madden is the most pay-to-win game, in my opinion, of any video game. I've played it at launch for the last, 7 years, and I usually get to MVP or, the highest division because it's a knowledge-based video game. If you just sit and study the correct plays and things like that, then that's how you win in Madden. But it's also do you have Tyreek Hill or someone who's insanely fast that you can just lob a ball down at the start of the game, right? And, I think that in this year's game, there's always going to be a meta. Every single game. We live in the information era. The reason why I have a channel is to help players that don't want to spend the time trying to learn themselves, so they look to someone who can save them time. So my channel is designed to do that, right? And there's millions of other channels for every other game or any other thing that you want to do and work on, right? So that being said, everyone knows what to do. I use this as an example. Back in NHL 19, Nuke from the West Coast came out of nowhere, made it to the Canadian regionals, and started scoring this low blocker goal that no one had ever seen. He didn't stream. He didn't make a YouTube channel. And a lot of the NHL content back then was EASHL or Bacon Country kind of things. Then you fast forward, every single top-end player started streaming. Every single top-end player started making a YouTube channel how do you score these glitch goals? Everyone becomes more informed. They watch the Twitch streams. Everyone else gets better. And that's why the player base is better than it has ever been. It just is, right? And those annoying things that happen in this year's game, DDD one-timers being a little broken, right? But more than that, the L2 backward skating down the boards to give you a speed boost and basically allow you to not get a tripping call every time or be able to bump them off the puck. That isn't real life. Anytime, that's where I'm now at an age where I don't care enough. I'm not winning the GWC. And while I do want to win, I'm a very competitive person. I just understand the landscape that I'm not putting in hours a day playing the game trying to get better. I'm literally just playing the game because I, want to play some hockey, right? But anytime I see something that is not a real life thing that can't be emulated in real life, like, no, like this is dumb, right? Like it's just silly. And I immediately just roll my eyes every time I see it. But that's really what's going to happen, right? Like online gaming has really just become that. I believe in ice tilt in one form or another. 12-0 game in a game in Hut Champs, and my player when I had the puck won't skate. Without the puck, no problem. But with the puck, half a mile an hour. I wonder if you were like ragging the puck. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Sleeves, great content as always. Not really. Not sure you really know the extent of your reach and with that influence you have on all of us Shell Maniacs. Two things. The latest Four Nations event, I can say with all honesty, I was able to make 92 Crosby as well as the 91 Rantanen. I found the amount of free collectibles, 82s, and to make 84s and to make 86s and so on. By Monday, I was able to make both Marchand and Point and get Sid. I already had Rantanen done in week 1, again with all the free fodder for the sets. I agree that losing the 91s wasn't preferred, but it is what it is, I guess, and being able to do it with any coin or collection loss made it easier to bear, suppose. Second one is your thoughts on the players with X Factors icons whose event MSPs are better than the card's highest upgrade. Case in point, the Fox Four Nations has some pretty significant stat differences that make me wonder if upgrading the X Factor captain is worth it, even if it isn't that expensive to do. The one stat to me that matters a great deal, and you see quite a variance across the board in these situations, is endurance. It just seems we get burned putting all our efforts into those sets and cards only to have the overall rated the same overall rated card be better statistically. Appreciate your time as always. So 100%, when it comes to the chase cards, I've mentioned this. I think that they're just going to get rid of the chase cards. I think that the new content team doesn't like them. They want everything to just be, what's the new event? What's the new hotness? Chase that. Don't chase the power-up icons or anything like that. It is very frustrating, right? Because I think that Ultimate Team games should have a RPG type upgrade in the background that allows us to upgrade cards throughout the year. Maybe it shouldn't be to the same extent as it used to be, but like there should be something to it, right? And it is very, very frustrating because those cards are usually the most expensive. And when you invest a ton into them and a new card comes out that's just simply better, it's a tough pill to swallow, right? And I think it's something that they're like arguing or dealing with internally that they don't know what the real resolution is to that. But that being said, it really isn't going to change all that much. Like if you get Fox as 90 endurance and your X Factor as 85, like yeah, like it sucks, but like that card's still going to continue to upgrade. So I mean, it is what it is. With regard to your B&D lines, FIFA utilizes loan players. They could give us a loan line for 2 weeks to complete those objectives, and after 2 weeks, those loans are useless. 100%, man. We used to have loan cards back in NHL 19, I think, or maybe it was 20, and everyone just like everyone hated them, but utilized correctly, 100%. Like, imagine this, right? The objectives. If you can't make them XP related, right? Just give us a whole, like a top 6 forward core of loan cards, and we get to try out all these cards. The more we get to try them out, the better, right? And, I think that wild card should still be just every MSP, all event cards. I think that's how wild card should operate, and I think that it's getting a little bit better than what it was, but that's, in my opinion, how it should be. Wild card should be a place where it's like, hey, you have all these options to try out every single card, and that would just go a long way, I think. Ace's been playing Hut since week 2 of Gallery of Greats. What are your thoughts on where I should look to upgrade my next to my line combos? Also, would it be worth getting rid of Zubov with his free abilities if another option with better stats comes out in future events? Love the consistent content, always keeping an eye out for the upload. Thank you, my man. Okay. McKinnon, Zetterberg, McDavid, Hull, Crosby, Larkin, Kucherov, Yzerman, Hayduk. So your forward core is pretty stacked. Ekblad, Keller, Makar, Taves, Zubov, Hedman. There's really no one that you need to go out and chase. Zubov should be the last card you take out because on the third pair, think of it like this. If you had a card that had maybe like 93 speed, right? Or you had someone that comes over the boards, third pair, not going to see a lot of ice time, that has his abilities for free, just automatically activated. You don't have to put those on. That's worth a ton to me, so I would keep him on there. When it comes to what other cards you should chase after, it's probably a right-handed winger. And if there's none from the Four Nations event you want to chase after, then I would wait for the sharpshooters event. I have a feeling that this event is actually going to have a lot of really fun cards, so something to consider. That's going to do it for today's Who Should You Choose video, guys. I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.